What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Picking Up the Crap, the Nintendo Financial Year Report. I'm your host, the one, the only, Jodecideion, joined by my partner in crime, TheShooter.
What's up, everybody? Back again.
All right, everybody, as you know, last night or yesterday, I'm not quite sure exactly, the Nintendo Physical Year Report was released, basically giving you up-to-date information on their current hardware and software sales, and of course, money made, money lost, market share, and all that good stuff. At the same time, throwing hints at future releases and uh, you know current success and failures. So we wanted to look at that real quick because I know there are a lot of people covering it. Most of them are not even Nintendo fans. They just figure Nintendo's doing bad, so they had just to dance on the grave, sort of say. So, Shooter, what's the first thing that jumps out to you with this report after going over it a little bit?
Well, besides the obvious that they did turn a profit, despite saying that we knew that they were going to have a loss, but the fact that they were able to get a net profit in and everything. Another thing is that they, of course, with that opposing, they're in the negative on their operating, and we know that's their that's the game making money and paycheck, all that good stuff, travel expenses, you name it. If you think about it, you name it. That's what the operation income is for. They were down on that, but other than that, they were still able to turn a profit, and I thought that was remarkable. Also, I don't know if you plan on talking about it, but the change in the shift in management. Iwata is now NOA president, or he's still CEO, but he's going to be functioning here in America, if I'm not mistaken. Reggie's still going to be COO, so he's still going to be here. So actually, they're going to be working together now. The former gentleman, I can't think of his name right now. He's going to Japan to handle management positions there because of two individuals retiring. So there's a nice shift in the management there, and it's quite interesting.
Yeah, to cover that real quick, Iwata is now in total control of Nintendo, even though he wasn't already. But now, being the CEO of Nintendo of America, he's now controlling both departments, hands down. He's making all the decisions when it comes to advertising, the marketing, what's going to be released, all that stuff. So there'll be no more of this, Reggie not when the game come over because the game sucks stuff. If I want the game here, it's going to come here. That could really open up, these Japanese only games, these Japanese exclusive games type stuff. That really opens that up where we might see more of these games, because right now he want to make money as much as possible, and so if it's good enough to come out in Japan, it's good enough to come out in North America with Iwata in control. But yeah, let's go to the numbers real quick though. Like you said, Nintendo saw a operating loss of how much exactly was it? 300.
I think 30. Yeah,
Yeah.
Was it 300 something? A billion yen, I think, and that totaled to about. Let me see. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I mean,
about.
believe me, people, I don't know this yen to
Yeah,
American dollar.
it's. I think to yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. To American dollar, I think it was around maybe 77 million. I read before, because
Right.
they have it on the actual report. Yeah, it's yen, but it just you could either do a currency, what's it called, conversion,
Yeah.
and you get that, you probably get around that amount.
Right, and people forgive us for not having we had the exact numbers, but like I said, trying to transfer this from yen to American dollars, excuse me, is right now doing the video it's kind of difficult. So sorry for not having the accurate, up to date numbers. It's easy to find. I'll place links in the bottom of this video so you can look for yourself. But like I said, the operating loss, like I said earlier, that's Nintendo paying everybody, paying people in Europe, paying Reggie and everybody here, paying people in Japan. That's producing the games, the marketing of the games, all that. That's what that is. And so it also covers other things as well. But the operations loss, that's where the major loss is. Coming in, doing all this stuff for these games, to then you can sell them, and hopefully you make the money back by selling them. The net sales, that's the selling of the merchandise. How much money they made selling these games, how much money they made selling the hardware, things of that nature. That would have been a lot bigger if they sold a lot more content. Um, Another thing I want to focus on is the hardware numbers. And right now, as we see, and this is why, there are the trolls dancing right now and skipping, jumping. And if you're a Nintendo fan, I don't want to say be afraid and be, discouraged, but just be aware. As of right now, as it stands, since the launch of the Wii U in the world, it is sold a little bit, 3 million, almost 3,500,000 systems worldwide. Now, while comparing this to other consoles of the past, you may say, okay, well, ain't that bad? It's pretty decent and everything. Here's a history lesson. Here's a history lesson. Nintendo's consoles, the most recent ones, the 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 goat of consoles, the DS, in its first year, it sold 5 million systems. Now, it had, I believe, a little bit more time compared to the Wii U, maybe about a month or so, but still 5 million when it was released. I'm not even sure that was a worldwide release. I could be wrong. I think it's maybe only two regions, but be sure about that. The Wii, the phenomenon that became the Wii, the same period of time, it sold almost 6 million systems in the first physical year of its release. Um, and then we had the 3DS, which we all know started off with a rocky start, similar to the Wii U. So bad that they had to do a price cut in the ambassador, program. It sold a little bit, barely more than the Wii U, at a 3,600,000 systems. So, putting that in perspective, the Wii U is starting out bad. No, compared to Nintendo's own standards. No, compared to the PS3 when it launched and the Xbox when it launched. There's different circumstances, different things going on. Compared to Nintendo's standards, it's right now the Wii U is right now in that 3DS area. And as we saw with the 3DS, Nintendo had to do some major things to get it to where it is now. Pretty successful. Um, Anything that you want to add, Shooter, real quick?
Yeah, actually, and I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing I remember what I was fascinated by when I was looking at these numbers this morning, but by the Wii U, really, on a positive note, the fact that it's at what is it about? You said about 3.5 million worldwide, but the software numbers are approximately about four times that number. So that means that there's a good hardware software or software to hardware ratio, which is always a good thing, because that's where they make their pure profit, especially now, because since they're selling the Wii U at a loss. That's where they can make a profit from is the hard software. Excuse me.
Exactly. The Wii U, according to Nintendo, is currently at a 3,450,000 systems sold. And right now, software sold on the Wii U. I assume this includes. Is this Nintendo only, or is this like everything?
This is I believe they said everything, including. Let me see. I'm sorry.
The third parties and the
Yeah,
eShop?
that's I think so. eShops. Well, I know it does include bundles. I
Okay.
do know that. But I believe if no, yeah, I think that's everything. That's all software, first to third party.
Okay, so
So yeah,
currently at this stand, the Wii U software is at 13 million point 402 420,000 pieces of software sold. And you're right. For every Wii U that's out there, on average, people have about four games. Now, it's be a
exactly.
mixture of retail games and eShop games, vice
Hmm.
versa, whatever. But still, for every Wii U out there, there's at least four games with that. I say that's pretty good, especially when systems are starting out. Especially with the current library that the game has, which is about maybe 35 games on the market, maybe. So out of that 35 games, four people have at least four of them. Now,
And then,
let me say
I'm
this.
sorry.
Let me say this. That could also include Nintendo Land sold with every Wii U Deluxe. So, okay, I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to be the fanboy, not be honest with everything. That could count. That could count Nintendo Land with every system sold. That was deluxe. Just putting it out there. Um, Next we have the 3DS. Want to talk about that real quick? That's hitting its stride, definitely. In the first fiscal year, 2010, 2011, it sold about 3,600,000 systems. From 2011 to 2012, it jumped to in the full year about 17 million. And now we sit 2013, we sit about 31 million 3DSs sold. Um, Now, in the same time span, compare this to the 3DS. The 3DS in 3 years in the same time span was at 50 million. So the 3DS is still 20 million off of what the DS did before it. Um, Nintendo's you've seen recently, they've been dropping games after games. They got major games coming out in all regions this year. In Japan, they have the Monster Hunter 4. They have the Pokemon release, which was a worldwide release, the Pokemon X and Y. And so, if the 3DS want at least have the potential to be, in that same stratosphere as the DS, this is where it's going to start. Because it's definitely for the DS. After this, they went on to sell pretty much it seemed like 20 million systems a year. So the 3DS, if you can hit that stride, what I'm saying, we can definitely see Nintendo make some money, some well earned and well deserved money off of the 3DS, from here on out. Other than that, I mean, that's pretty much it, to be honest with you. I mean, the numbers are what they are. The money loss is what it is. The money earned is what it is. According to, I guess some of the little reports with this report, there's talks of the new 3D Mario and a new Mario Kart for Wii U being released this year for the Wii U. And remember, for the 3DS, when they did what they did with the price cut and the ambassador program, those were the two major games that released in Japan first that we eventually got. And definitely in Japan, with the inclusion of Monster Hunter 3, Tri-G, that turned the 3DS around. It's not looking back at all. So maybe a similar thing can happen with the Wii U. I'm not saying that Nintendo's going to do a price cut and introduce some kind of ambassador program for people who bought it at launch. They could if they wanted to. I mean, it depends on what their master plan is, you know. But I see potential for a similar pattern. If those games do drop, and Nintendo can bring out keep releasing new games that similar quality, then we could see a repeat of the 3DS with the Wii U. And only time will tell what that means in the overall picture when it comes to the console war, you say, because Microsoft and Sony, they're releasing new systems this year, and we won't know until they release how and their price points and everything how they're gonna do. If people actually gravitate toward those systems and they sell extremely well, like previous systems, I'm talking about like PS2 type style, or at least in that kind of range, then Nintendo got to rework their plans themselves and do what it takes to compete. But doing this series for a while, looking at the patterns of games, looking at the pattern of consoles being sold, there's no guarantee that both those systems are going to fly off the shelves. This coming holiday season. Microsoft is doing some real, according to reports, some interesting things with their console. They may affect consumer base. And Sony, we already seen their console. We know what it is. All we're waiting for is how much it's going to cost. So, Shooter, before we wrap this up, anything else you want to say?
Yeah, one last thing too. Always and remember it. I'm sure if you've been keeping up, look at that building, the new headquarters. That was definitely a subtraction from the operation income. But you see what it's invested. They're investing into the company. So and of course that's a loss that I'm sure they were willing to take. But what's going to result from that is going to be it's a larger development headquarters. So you're going to have even more developers than you had before. Right. So definitely keep that in mind. So yeah, big things really coming on the way from Nintendo.
And last thing before we close this, despite all these losses, despite everything we've heard today, the reshuffling of management, all that good stuff, has anyone heard anything about Nintendo having to fire or lay anybody off? Think about that. Out of all the money they supposedly losing, out of everything going on, Nintendo's the only company that hasn't had to close any developing groups, fire anybody, well, not fire, cut anybody from their job, lay anybody off, anything like that. Think about that. Microsoft has done that recently. Sony has done that a lot. So think about that. For Picking Up the Crab special, this is your boy, the one and only Jodecideion.
And this is the Shooter. Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time. Take care.